Hello, and welcome to this edition of Exclusive Interview, coming to you from the studios of 84 TV Radio, Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Stanley Bentu. Now, from insurgency in the northeast to farmer-herder clashes to kidnapping and banditry, Nigeria has been battling a cocktail of security challenges over the course of the last 10 years. Do we have a security crisis in our hands? And if so, what can we do about it?
January 2020 alone, available records have shown that at least 245 people lost their lives to terrorism, banditry, and related violent crimes across Nigeria. This is in addition to more than 27,000 dead as a result of the Boko Haram insurgency. Figures like this are perhaps the reason why Expert Insider Survey of 2019 by Internations lists Nigeria as the third most dangerous country in the world as a result of both corruption and insecurity. While the federal and state government, alongside the legislature, have applied several solutions to tackle this menace, their efforts often seem to fall short. This raises questions about Nigeria's security architecture. The country's southwest governors recently set up a regional security outfit, Amotekun, to address rising criminality and killings in the region. Not long afterwards, governors from the north announced a similar initiative. The protection of the people's lives and property is the top responsibility of government. On the show today, we take a look into how well the Nigerian government has fared in confronting the challenges of security and examine new ideas that can turn the tide against the perpetrators of violence. Exclusive Interview speaks to Vince Onyekwelu, a security consultant with a keen eye for innovative approaches to problem solving.
On today's edition of Exclusive Interview, we speak to Vince Onyekwelu, who is a security consultant, and he joins me right now in the studio. Vince, you're very much welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I would just go straight into it and talk about the larger security issue that Nigeria has been confronted with over the course of the last 10 years, which is what is going on in Nigeria's northeast. Over 20 or about 15,000 people killed in the course of the Boko Haram insurgency. And recently, we've seen an upsurge of that. Beyond using the sledgehammer approach and sending in the soldier boys to go in there and get things right, what are we getting wrong?
I think Nigeria is having a kind of serious security challenge, just like most other countries in the Sahel region are also having. What makes Nigeria very peculiar is because Nigeria happens to be the most populous black nation of the world, with so much potential to do better. And all of a sudden, in the past 10 years, Nigeria has been kind of overpowered with this massive surge in national insecurity. Basically, Nigerians are slaughtered left, right, and center, with very poor statistics of who is killed and who is not killed. In Nigeria today, we have a leadership that has good intentions to solve the challenges of the insecurity. Because when our current leader came in power in 2015, he, as a retired army general, we all believed he has some key to the solutions of our security problems. But with all respect to him, the previous government of Jonathan Goodluck had serious security challenges also. So I think it's been a problem that's cut across political divides, religious divides, cultural divides. The bottom line is we are yet to even grapple with what is facing us. I can't even tell you that if it's Boko Haram that is our only problem. I can't even tell you that if Islamic State in West Africa is our problem. I can even say to you, their friends are the ISWAP, if they are our problem too. I can say to you, if the bandits is our problem. We can't even say to you, if the kidnappers is our problem. I can say to you, if the cultist organizations, as they call them in Nigeria, though I see them as fraternity organizations, not cult, but in Nigeria, they're all called cultists. I can say if that they are our problems. I can even say poverty, because people are dying out of poverty if that's our problem. So unfortunately, from the financial point of view, from the economic point of view, from the lack of infrastructural requirements of a society, don't forget that we live in a society whereby you cannot even make sure you're going to get pipe-borne water at home. You probably have to have a borehole at home to give you what you need from water.
And part of that problem has been planning. And recently, we have seen the suspension of immigrant visa of Nigerians to the United States, and we're made to understand that this is because of poor sharing of intelligence information on national security. And to me, that interprets, or it's interpreted to mean that we have not documented our citizens properly. We don't even know who's Nigerian and who isn't. Would you say that this would be a great place to start? Let's first know who is who and who's where.
Definitely. That's you just hit the nail on the head. You live in a society where we don't even know who is who in Nigeria. Basically, we have working on the national ID card system for the past 11 years. With millions, if not billions of naira sunk into it. And today about only 38 million Nigerians have been covered. I've applied for my own national ID card for the past 7 years since I came home to Nigeria. All I have is a piece of paper. I don't even have the main card itself. So we live in a society we don't even know our population.
And how much of a challenge is that to get? Because we saw the banks come up with their BVN system. Didn't seem to take them long to do that. So why is it such a problem for the government?
I think when you have, in my own opinion, I don't know if my opinion matters, but when you have a system whereby we don't know what is priority, where we cannot hold people accountable, where people don't resign if they fail in their offices, where we celebrate mediocrity, and we condemn credible people that are highly qualified to do the jobs. In 10, 11 years, the national ID card system has been out, and they've only covered 38 million of Nigerians. We don't even know our numbers. You cannot even say if somebody who commits a crime in Abuja today, you can't even track who they are. That is why somebody will say to you, I'm going to use this knife, I'm going to knife you, and nothing will happen. That is why you will see people in uniform will say, I'm going to shoot you, and nothing will happen. You don't even know who is who. You can't even use the
how do we begin to solve this problem?
It's very simple. We've got databases. That the beauty of technology is that you can start from the scratch. So we've got a system. I've seen fantastic companies in Nigeria that have left their comfort zones in parts of the world to come into Nigeria to add value. So I've seen a system where you can start from the scratch. Anybody you see that commits a crime, fingerprint them, take a picture of their iris, take whatever name they say they are. That is a fresh database building. Trust me, if we start from the scratch, then we've got our BVN from the banks. There are some people that are called the unbanked in Nigeria. They don't have a bank account. But we've got about 60% of Nigerians on the BVN. Grab the data from the BVN. That gives you 60% of Nigerian information. So whenever somebody says, I'm supposed to be Vince Onyekwelu, put your fingerprint here, sir. If you put it, you can testify if it's who he claims to be. That's number one. We've got a temporary voter's card. It's also biometric, just like the BVN is biometric. What's it biometric? Because it has those unique human features that nobody else should have. So my fingerprint is unique to me. My iris is unique to me. No two people can have the same. Even twins, identical twins never have the same. So you can have our temporary voter's card, it's biometric. Permanent voter's card, it's biometric. Our BVN in the banks, it's biometric. Our driver's license, it's biometric. Our international passport, it's biometric. Our NHIS cards are biometric. So you've got our national ID paper, it's biometric. Even the pictures you take to open your SIM card in your phones, it's biometric. So all we need to do is to bring all this data together, clean them up, and then have this kind of handheld systems that when police officers are on the beat, they'll have one. It's got a SIM card in it. So wherever you stop a criminal, who are you? Please put your fingerprint here.
All right. What we do also about cameras on our streets.
Yeah.
I understand we can't cover all of the places, but we've had several attempts. The government probably cannot finance cameras on every street. So what strategy can be used?
personally, with my experience in the sector, I've been home in Nigeria for a long time right now. So at least I was here before this current administration came into power. So I can say to you, authoritatively, I've got some experience of what happens. Now, when you talk about cameras, CCTV cameras, we've got what we call the intelligent cameras nowadays. So lately, in collaboration with a company called SecTech that is here in Abuja, we've got cameras that can actually pick up the uniqueness of your face. Now,
facial recognition.
Facial recognition camera. So the beauty is here. So for you commit a crime in Gwarimpa in Abuja, okay, and the camera picks up your face. We don't know who you are. We can just put in our record system, this gentleman, about 5 feet, 6 feet 1, killed somebody with a knife in the Gwarimpa, Abuja, so date, slim, about this size. We don't know who he is. Then after 2 weeks, if the same camera is somewhere in Galadima, in Kano State, if it picks up your face, it's going to automatically match that face to the face picked up in the camera in Gwarimpa. So we know that it's the same person. So we can put on the database the same person identified somewhere in Galadima quarters in Kano State. Then after 1 week, the same face is picked up somewhere in Kaduna roundabout. It's going to tell you the same face. So what we can do, the police should be on alert. Next time we see this face, who is closest to this particular area?
They can now resort to the database. And be able to narrow down and get
to the person. Yes.
So
even if you're running up and down Nigeria, the facial recognition of the camera can say it's the same individual that we are still looking for. All right?
Well, we still have a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to kidnapping and exactly how we can apply our policing systems. Should we stay national or should we go local? Well, that's what we'll be talking about when we return. I have Vince Onyekwelu, who's a security expert, right here with me on exclusive interview. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you are traveling, you need to be sensitive and you be watchful the kind of vehicle you entered. Going to Kogi State now is a dangerous zone, precisely. I know when to travel, I know when not to travel.
Like Abuja, Lokoja Road, where the kidnapping is very, very prevalent, like where the instances are high, you need to watch the kind of vehicles you enter, like you board, and then you make sure you leave on time so as to avoid night travels.
How to protect oneself from not getting kidnapped, I believe social media is one of the places where they tend to get the individuals. So I believe viral posting of one's achievement is not advisable.
We've known so many means in which most of the kidnappers use, mostly in Abuja here, what they call one chance. You understand? So it's always advisable when you enter a vehicle, most especially cars, cab. When you take a cab, it's better for you to, before you enter, always watch the people around, watch the people seated inside. Secondly, most times when you stop a cab and the front seat is always empty, and you see like two or three persons seated at the back, you should be very cautious of that, because why will we sit at the front be empty and two people are sitting at the back? Because that is a very easy way of holding you when you're inside the cab. Then thirdly, maybe if you're traveling out, like most especially the Kaduna area, it's a very busy area for kidnapping. It's always advisable these days, though, to go through the way station instead of using the road.
AD4 TV Radio, we focus on education with emphasis on research and innovation, science and technology, women and girl child education, children, health, youth and sports, socio-political and economic reforms, security, environment, entrepreneurship, and entertainment. We'll give you information at your fingertips. Learn on the go. Follow AD4 TV Radio on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. AD4 TV Radio, reliable and credible.
We love you, AD4 TV Radio.
Welcome back to Exclusive Interview. We've been talking about security in Nigeria. Do we have a crisis, and what can we do to make things better? I've been having a chat with Vince Onyekwelu, who's a security consultant, and I want us to move on to kidnapping now, which has become a major problem. It's something that we're all terrified of. I'm terrified. But you seem to think that we're not terrified enough, because if we were, we should have done something about it.
Honestly, if we are terrified enough, we should do the needful. How do I mean by the needful? Now, we have organizations, for instance, we may not have everything we need in Nigeria, nobody is perfect, but we have organizations that have left their comfort zones across the world, that have done very well to relocate to Nigeria to add value to our security challenges, and we are not using them enough. We'll leave a Nigerian-led organization to go and work with a foreign-based organization that does not understand the nitty-gritty of what happened in Nigeria. Example, as I was saying to you before, a couple of months ago, I did a project with a company called SecTech in Nigeria. You can check them out, www.sectech.com. Now, SecTech has camera systems that can help you to pick up face of a kidnapper. As I said to you, if you kidnap somebody in Enugu State, and they know you're a kidnapper and your face is picked up, they've got systems that are very intelligent that can pick up those details and match them to whatever they see across the country. And the margin of error is very limited. Now, you will have a police force, for example, that carry AK-47 up left, right, and center. Now, as a former police officer with the UK, with the British police, we don't fancy the idea of carrying arms everywhere we go, because at times you need free hands to be able to communicate. We believe in the power of communication.
And the AK-47 is a rifle.
It's a rifle. It's going to just take off almost
both your arms.
Exactly. No matter how good you are to use one hand, you're going to look like a gangster if you do that with a one-hander. All right. Because as a professional, there's things you cannot do. You cannot hold a pistol instead of going the right way. You start to turn it around there. It looks like a gangster, and that doesn't look good on your profile. Not that you cannot get a good shot from that, but you don't do it that way.
Well, you probably couldn't get a good shot.
Trust me, some people can.
They're that good.
Yeah, some people can.
But here's the dilemma for the Nigerian.
Yeah.
You lose a loved one, or a loved one is captured by kidnappers.
Yeah.
You don't have enough faith in the police that they will rescue your loved one. And you're fearful that your loved one could end up dead. And so you feel forced, compelled even, to pay the ransom. The dilemma is that, going to the police can seem very difficult with the level of training that our police force has. So this makes kidnapping very lucrative. And the more lucrative it becomes, the more people you'll have going into this business, because they now realize that, oh, this is a way that we can get quick money. So
you're right.
How do we battle that with the state of readiness of our police as it is?
It's simple. We bring in technology. I said to you about sectechnigeria.com. That's a website we can all check about, because they have gadgets. When I say gadgets, for example, we're talking about a police officer or an army officer carrying AK-47 to do basic, be on the beat. So checking the streets to make sure that everything is okay. If you have things like expandable buttons, all right, we call it, in the British place, we call it ASP, all right, but here you call it expandable buttons. Basically, what it does is that you don't need to use firearms to resolve every basic problem, because it affects the relationship you have with the community. So when a kidnap happens, you rely on the community, the first people around there, the first responders, to give you information. Sir, I saw what happened. It was 4 kidnappers. I saw them. They were speaking English, or they were speaking Yoruba or Igbo or Tiv or Hausa or anything. You need those kind of information. Now, if you have gadgets like pepper sprays, people can even use pepper sprays to protect themselves. But in Nigeria, they've made pepper spray to be illegal. Whereas you can buy that same pepper spray on Nigeria-owned internet websites for nothing. All right.
So that's a good way that you can keep yourself
because
safe.
Pepper sprays, like when we had the issues in Port Harcourt, when we had this serial killer in Port Harcourt, many of the women in Port Harcourt had to resort to having pepper sprays in their bags. All right. Stun guns. Men, women can have stun guns, because what it helps you to do is, a stranger comes to hold you from the back, you can just stun them. And once you hit them, at least for the next 2 minutes, they're going to be knocked out. And that gives you a chance.
I suppose the fear is when people now use that for aggression.
Then if you do use that for aggression, then the cops should take you in and use you as an example. So you have to think about how to detect crime.
So law enforcement basically needs to work. There is no getting around that.
There's nothing, because you have to detect crime, you have to deter, and you have to disrupt crime. So when you detect a crime, there's a kidnapper on the prowl, you have to have a reason to deter. So even what the law enforcement has to deter, what does the citizens have to deter to help themselves? It's going to be basic like pepper spray, stun guns, which should be readily available. It's not dangerous, but if you abuse them, anything can be abused. Even a club, even the piston my mom used to in her mortar, it can be abused. Even the bottle you used to drink your lager beer or your mineral drinks can be abused. And if you get those abused, you should face the law.
Which brings me to another aspect of our security system that people say or are fearful that it would be abused, and that is our security architecture. Right now we use the military to respond to almost anything, and it's not proved to be a wise solution. And we have sub-regions trying to set up their own security outfits. We recently heard about the Omotekun, and now we have the northern groups that are
Shege Kafasu.
Well, basically here it translates to I dare you. But so let's be real. It means that a lot of Nigerians recognize that there is a need for a localization of police.
Yeah.
But we've not gotten to the point where we say, okay, let's look at what are the challenges of setting up local police, and then let's find a way that we can successfully do that. I'm not aware of any country that has only one police, and it's a federal police controlled at the center, and local communities are not allowed to have their own police. So how far can we go, and do you think that this is something that is an idea whose time has come?
Oh yes, I think it's the right time for us to look in further on how to secure lives and properties in Nigeria, because it's unattainable, it's unthinkable that people die in Nigeria. And the most painful part of this, you see, in medicine, there are about 4 or 5 care systems in medicine, because you have duty of care. First of all, if somebody is ill or in an accident, first of all, relief care, reduce the pain. If you reduce the pain, you now find out, oh, there's a rupture, a bone or a tendon has been ruptured. You now do what? Correction care. A surgery, for example. Now you move on to issue of strengthening care. All right, now there's a surgery, successful surgery. We have to strengthen the leg or the arm to get the tissues or the cells to start to work gradually. Now you move on to wellness care. Give them time. 6 months time, 3 months time, they'll start getting well. And it doesn't get well, they have to die. You plan for end of life care. So these are about 4 or 5 care stages in medicine. Medicine is so close to national security. Now in Nigeria, a kidnapper takes somebody, or a militia kills somebody. Victim care, 0. A soldier goes to the front line to fight for Nigeria. He loses life in the front line. The wife is widowed. The sons and daughters becomes fatherless. How do we get the best care for this soldier's children? And if this man is not a soldier, happens to be a poor man from Kaduna or from Taraba or from Plateau or from Benue, that means the wife and the children goes into a life of perpetual poverty. What is the victim care? The best they can get is they are taken to an IDP camp, dumped there, and we know what happens in IDP camps. So there is that relief care, that correction care that you get in medicine, you don't get in national security. And now the most painful part is, let's say it's a soldier. The people that kill him are not arrested. There happens to be this bandit ghost in Nigeria. Nobody seems to be able to arrest them. He dies for nothing. And in some few occasions, he's lucky enough that his colleagues arrest some of these bandits or Boko Haram. After 1 year, the federal government will release them. It's called they have been rehabilitated. And when you release them, there's no tag on them to check if they will become repeat offenders. So there's no correction, there is no relief, there is no strengthening, there isn't even
a vetting of exactly what this rehabilitation program is?
Nobody knows. It's
We
only
don't
them
know.
that decides what they are doing there, who speaks there, who works there. There is no external involvement. So we
No
are
oversight.
So we are talking about a system of recycled criminality. That somebody, look at what the IGP of police did last week. You know about what happened in Taraba State, about when 3 police officers were killed in Taraba State when they went to arrest a known kidnapper, Wadume, and they were shot and killed. Now last week or this week, the IGP has opened a 16-count charge against the Wadume, against the army captain that gave the authority to shoot at the police officers. That is what we want to see. When you arrest Boko Haram or bandits, put them in a competent court of justice. Let them have their days in court so we can learn what is happening. But right now, we don't even know who funds them, who recruits them, who trains them, who leads their operations, because they are taken away from the court of justice and put in camps. And after they are released,
We barely even know their names.
and we'll never know their names.
So what would you say, very quickly, in about 20 seconds, are the urgent steps, perhaps 3 urgent steps that Nigeria needs to take
First
to
of
improve
all,
security?
we need to bring in gadgets. We need to rely less on firearms AK-47. We need to bring in gadgets like expendable bats for our police officers, the kind of stun guns to help the citizens to protect themselves, because you have a right to self-defense. That's number 1. Number 2, we need to use our judicial system to put every criminal that kills Nigerians or steals from Nigeria to go through the court system. They should not take them to put them in camps and release them later. We need to bring the law. We are called law enforcement officers. We need to bring the law to check if they are guilty or not guilty. And finally, we need to be willing to defend ourselves. I'm not trying to scare anybody. What's going in Nigeria, whether we're going to use any kind of tactics or strategy or armored vehicle or spray guns or stun guns, you need to know how to protect yourselves, because what we're seeing in Nigeria, I'm not trying to scare anybody, it's worrisome that we need to defend ourselves, and self-defense is allowed in our constitution. Don't
And
allow
it's
yourself to die cheap. You must
Even
stand
a
up and
very logical thing to do.
defend
Thank
yourself.
you so much, Vince. It's been very interesting speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Nigeria's security, many may find very challenging. But having listened to our guests on security, Vince Onyekwelu, speaking here, there are some key points that can be effectively put into place to ensure that citizens are kept safe, not just by government, but by the citizens themselves. The first thing we have to look at is use of technology to fight insecurity, whether it's gadgets that can be used, internet, but first we have to start with a comprehensive database that can tell us exactly who and who is not a Nigerian. Moving along to the second point, use of our judicial system for criminals who commit crimes. We have to ensure that they pass through our court systems. It's not enough to just parade suspects. We have to make sure that our criminal justice system is reformed and that it's working very effectively. And finally, community policing. Now that is a strategy which ensures engagement between the community and the police, especially in the areas of information gathering. Security, they say, is not the business of government alone, but a responsibility to all of us. Now that's it on Exclusive Interview today. Join us again next time.